Well, good morning. It's great to be here with you this morning. I usually, when I'm standing in front of a group of people, they're eating. Because I do a dinner show for a living. I'm an entertainer for a living, and for the last 16 years, I've had my own dinner show on International Drive. So when I'm standing in front of people, they're eating. So since I'm here today to make myself feel more at home, I'm going to give you some food. Now, I'm from Tennessee. My wife, Mitzi, is also from Tennessee, and everything I'm going to throw out today is from Tennessee. This is a goo-goo. Anybody ever heard of a goo-goo? Made in Nashville, because in Tennessee, we hire babies to name our snack foods. It's a goo-goo. This is a Charms Blow Pop. This is made in Covington, Tennessee by the Charms Company, where my wife is from. It's got bubble gum in the center. You got to lick it to get to the gum. So when you hand one of these out, it's like saying, "Here, have some gum in 5 minutes." Also, we have moon pie. Woo! Moon pies. I only have one of each, so I'm going to just toss them. There you go. Hey, look. Yeah. Look at that catch. Somebody's going to get hit in the eye. Whoa. Yeah. Heads up. Good catch, lady. She's like a ninja. She was like, ah! So, sorry, just one of each. So if Jesus comes back and he breaks that moon pie for everybody. Seeing is believing. You've heard that saying before? I believe it when I see it. I won't believe it until I see it. Is that true? Do we necessarily believe in something just because we see it? I grew up in this really small community called Holidays, population 200. You've never heard of it. You can Google it, though. And when you Google it, which I did a couple of days ago, it says average hotel price $103. There are no hotels in Holiday, Tennessee. The whole population is 200 people. So if the average hotel is $103, that means it's $50 for a room, $53 for gas to drive to the hotel, which is in another town. My high school graduating class was 7, 5 girls and 2 boys. 2.5 times more girls than boys. And I still couldn't get a date. But when I was growing up in school, this guy came to our school, and he did a show every year. His name was Lewis Mitchell. And this right here, by the way, this is something that was popular in the 1800s. It's called shapography. And what it is just this felt ring that you make hats out of. And a guy would stand on stage and make hats out of this. And people liked it. Napoleon, a priest. Chuck. Let's see. Revolutionary War. This was really popular in the 1800s. Before Netflix. This was the Pokemon Go of the Victorian era. But today it's going to be a cowboy hat. Because Lewis Mitchell called himself Cowboy Louie, and he did a DARE program, Just Say No to Drugs. He had been a retired cop, and he did magic tricks. And I'm going to show you one of the tricks he did today. Well, he didn't do it today, but he did it back then. We've got some ropes. Now, the thing about these ropes, I just want to show them to you. There's one. They're about the same size. There's 2, 3 ropes. They're all about the same size, wouldn't you say? All about the same size. But no, they're not. Ha 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 ha! There goes that whole "I'll believe it when I see it" thing. Small, medium, extra medium. Uno, dos, trio. Cowboy Louie would stand in front of a bunch of kids, hundreds of us, well, not hundreds of us, there was 90 kids in the entire school. kindergarten through high school, and some of those kids were bussed in. True. You take those ropes, put them together, give them a little pull like that. Now they're all the same size again. No way. Yes way. That's 1. That's 2. That's 3. Sometimes Cowboy Lou would say, I don't need 3, I just need 2. I don't need 2, I just need 1 really long one. What? It's getting cray up in her. Burn him at the stake. Sometimes he'd make the ends jump. La 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 la. Oh, no, I didn't. Some of the kids would yell out, that rope comes apart. He said, no, it don't, but the ends come off. The circle of life, Simba. Edward Scissorhands. So Cowboy Louie impressed me, and I went out and tried to learn how to do magic tricks. What I just did was a trick. It's fake. An illusion. The ropes are real. It's just the way I manipulate them. So we can all be fooled by things we see. But you're fooled by that because I fooled you. But also, there's things in the natural world that'll fool you, like this right here. This is actually a science experiment. It looks like a little boomerang, mustache thing. Is a red one, and here's a blue one. Now you'll notice that the red one is longer than the blue one. If you put the ends together, the red one's longer than the blue one, right? Wrong! They're the same size. Whichever one is on the bottom looks longer. I don't know why it works. It just does. You can make one when you get home for your kids out of cardboard. Just make them 2 different colors. One more instance of being fooled by something you see. We believe in society today that anything that we can't see, taste, touch, feel, smell is suspect. We need to doubt it. But that's not what the Bible teaches us. Not only did I just do a couple of simple tricks, you can be fooled. Your sense of smell can be fooled. You ever driven down the road with us and all of a sudden you smell watermelon, peach, springtime, and you look over and the person next to you is putting hand lotion on? Fooled me. My wife and daughters do it all the time. Suddenly there's this explosion of smell. There goes that other sense, the sense of smell. Seeing is believing. That's what we grow up hearing. That's what society tells us. But God understands that even though we see something, we're not necessarily going to believe it. We don't just get by on our 5 senses. We don't make decisions based on our 5 senses alone. If you would, open up your sermon notes there. And if you have your Bibles, I'd like for you to go to John chapter 11, verse 40. John chapter 11, verse 40. I'm going to give you, before we read it, I'm going to give you a little, I'm going to go back and tell you, I'm going to set it up for you. This is the instance where Jesus brought Lazarus back from the dead. Now, Lazarus had 2 sisters, Mary and Martha. Mary is the one who later on is going to put her expensive perfume on Jesus, and then she's going to wipe his feet with her own hair. Now, Martha and Mary knew Jesus, and so did Lazarus. And Lazarus got sick, and Martha and Mary sent word to have Jesus come to see Lazarus. Please tell Jesus that Lazarus is ill. But Jesus doesn't go to see Lazarus while he's sick. Instead, he waits a couple of days, and Lazarus dies. And Lazarus is buried. Lazarus is buried in a tomb, and the stone is rolled over the tomb, and he's been dead for 4 days before Jesus shows up. And when Jesus gets there, there's a lot of crying going on. Martha and Mary are crying. A lot of family members are crying. People who knew Lazarus are crying. Jesus comes up, and he sees the people weeping. And the people told him, "Lord, come and see." Then Jesus wept. The people who were standing nearby said, "See how much he loved him." But some said, this man healed a blind man. Couldn't he have kept Lazarus from dying? Jesus was angry as he arrived at the tomb. A cave with a stone rolled across its entrance. Roll the stone aside, Jesus said. But Martha, the dead man's sister, protested, Lord, he has been dead for 4 days. The smell is going to be terrible. Jesus responded, didn't I tell you that you would see God's glory if you believe? Let me repeat that. Jesus said, didn't I tell you that you would see God's glory if you believe? Isn't that the opposite of what we normally think? I'll believe it when I see it. But Jesus said, you'll see it when you believe it. So they rolled the stone aside. Then Jesus looked up to heaven and said, Father, thank you for hearing me. You always hear me. But I said it aloud for the sake of those people standing here, so that they will believe you sent me. Then Jesus shouted, Lazarus, come out. And the dead man came out, his hands and feet bound in grave cloths, his face wrapped in a headcloth. And Jesus told them, unwrap him and let him go. So this next verse that I want you to go to verse 45, and this is a very important one. This always strikes me when I read it. Many of the people who were with Mary believed in Jesus when they saw this happen. Many? What about all? If you were there, if I was there, and we saw this miracle of a man who had been dead for 4 days brought back to earth, wouldn't you face plant and start praising God right there? But it wasn't the case. It says many of the people believed. He doesn't say all the people believed. Some of the Pharisees went and told the religious leaders what Jesus had done. They didn't like the idea of Jesus existing because Jesus was upsetting the social order, the religious order of the time. A lot of other people standing around were watching, were just like bystanders. My Bible says that many of the people were neutral. And I want to say to you today, what is neutral? What does neutral do for you? A lot of these people who were there, at one time they were sort of praising Jesus, but later on they stand around and watch him be crucified not long after this. They just stood there and watched. They were neutral. Well, here's what I have to say about being neutral. When you get ready to leave today and you go get in your car and maybe you're going to go to Panera or First Watch or Five Guys, wherever you're going to go, just put your car in neutral. And I'll see you there. Neutral is the same as unbelieving. The Bible's very clear about that. You have to believe. Can I be a Christian and not really believe? Nope. Sorry, not part of the deal. Belief comes first. So your 5 senses will fool you. You can be fooled. We can be fooled by what we hear. We watch CNN and Fox all the time, so. We choose to believe what we want to believe based on what is in our own hearts, not necessarily on what we see or taste or touch. Your heart, this is my little visual aid for this, your heart and your mind must be aligned for belief to take place. If you say, I'll see it, I'll believe it when I see it, that's an excuse. Because the truth is, you'll see it, you'll believe it when you decide in your heart you're going to believe it. Right? So that puts you in a precarious position because it's now on you to believe. And it's on me to believe. Acts Chapter 16, verse 31 says, believe in the Lord Jesus and you will be saved, you and your household. It doesn't say, hey, I'm going to show you some stuff. And if you like it, I got a feeling that, hey, you may cast aside all your doubts and you're going to become a believer. Doesn't say that. It says believe. And if you believe it, then you will start to see it. In your sermon notes, how can I see? Number 1, surrender. Cast yourself upon the Lord. Ask him for forgiveness. Number 2, accept. Take the gift of salvation that he's handing you. He's always ready to give it to you, and accept it. Admit that Jesus is the Son of God, that he died on the cross and rose 3 days later. The third one, and this is the whole point of my message today, is expect. Ask and expect to see the glory of God. See, if you ask God to show you his glory, he will show it to you. I guarantee it. In Exodus chapter 33, verse 18, Moses prayed this prayer to God. He said, I pray you show me your glory. And if you think about it, here's a guy, Moses had seen more miracles than most people in the Bible. All the things that Moses saw. And yet Moses still prayed to God to show me your glory. And he did. And he will show his glory to you too. When I was getting ready to speak today, last Sunday morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, I woke up and thought, Charms Blow Pops. Now, a lot of times I have my phone and I do the little note things and I'll write notes to myself. But I didn't have my phone, so I just thought, okay, Charms Blow Pops. I don't know what it means, but I'll try to remember it. So when I got up Monday morning, I wrote down Charms Blow Pops on our hundreds of Post-it notes that we have, stacks of them. She buys those huge ones. I wrote Charms Blow Pops. So sometime Monday morning, I needed to go to Walmart and buy duct tape. So I went to Walmart, and I go in the garden center to buy duct tape, and I get it, and I go to check out at the garden checkout line. And there's a long line, and I'm standing there waiting to check out. And when I get up next, when I'm the next person to check out, this guy walks in from the garden center and plops 6 blow pops in front of me to the cash register lady. And he said, have a blessed day. And he walked away. And I'm standing there like this, staring at these blow pops. And I said to the cashier, I said, what's that about? And she goes, oh, he brings us candy all the time. Do you want some? And I said no, because I was in shock. What are the odds of that happening? Charms Blow Pops. That's God's glory right there. If you ever think, what are the odds of that? It's probably God's glory. He's showing you a little bit of his glory. So I go out and I drop my duct tape in the car, and I'm thinking about this all this time, and I know that I'm going to try to stick that in. I'll hand out candy, and that'll be a good little icebreaker and all that. So I go back in Walmart, and guess what? They don't sell Charms Blow Pops. I had to get them at World Market. I got the Goo Goos and the Moon Pies at Cracker Barrel. God's glory. When you leave here today, I'm going to challenge you to pray to God to show you his glory. And it's not going to be some kind of big thing. It's going to be little things, because it's all in the details. As I get older, I've realized, you've heard the saying, God is in the details. It's those little details. You just got to always be ready for them and be open to them. So that's my message for you today. When you leave here today, I ask you to pray that God will show you his glory. Thank you, guys.